Hello, ghosties. You're listening to Not My Ghost.
Not my problem. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Jen.
Whether you're a skeptic, a true believer, or somewhere in between, join us for a journey into the unknown.
Because remember, when it comes to the paranormal, it may not be our problem.
But it's certainly someone's problem.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
We are exhausted. We are still together, and Kelly's still in St. Augustine. And we've had a really busy few days.
Somewhat. We've had, well, we didn't do a ton yesterday, but we were up late last night.
We were. So Thursday night we had our old jail investigation.
Got home at 3 a.m.
3 a.m. And then Friday night we went out for my birthday. Yay, me. And we got home at like 2 a.m.?
2 a.m.
And then last night we kind of just chilled at home, but we stayed up late to watch the Ravens beat the Steelers in the playoff game.
Woohoo!
So that was fun, but still we're kind of up late. Probably went to bed around midnight.
Probably.
And we're just really tired today.
Yeah. Want to crawl back in bed, throw blankets over us, and not move.
Yeah, I want to sleep for like a week.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it really does. But welcome to our scripted, unscripted banter.
Yes.
And then, to top off the exhaustion, every time we have recorded, we've had issues with our mics and getting things to work and hook up. And I don't understand.
It's been very, very fun.
Very stressful.
Jen is so calm with tech issues.
I try, but I'm to my breaking point. I'm exhausted.
I immediately get angry and start cussing when there's a problem. And Jen is like, well, there's one more thing I can try.
Let me try throwing it all out the window. I might appear calm on the outside, but I am screaming internally.
Oh, I wish I knew how to do that.
Yeah. Years of masking my anxiety and depression and ADHD.
I can do it with other things.
Okay.
But just not when I get frustrated with the computer.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to our second Paranormal Postcards episode.
Yes. Thank you
excited
for sending in your stories. Thank you so much.
Yes. Mostly thank you to Katrona and Birdie.
Yes.
Because they're most of what is in our inbox right now.
And we love it.
We love it. Please keep them.
Keep sending it.
Katrona said the other day on our Discord page, she was like, I have a lot more, but I don't want to spam your inboxes. And I was like, no, spam away.
Yes, we want them all.
Spam.
Every last one of them.
If we get enough from one person, we'll just do a whole episode based on your stories.
That would be great.
It would be.
Yeah, you could. This episode is sponsored by.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would
absolutely.
be phenomenal.
So, Katrona and Birdie, if you just want to type us up 5 or 6 and then just send them our way, we'll do a whole episode just themed for you. Well, let's dive right in, Kelly, because as we both just said, we are exhausted. Do you want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay, so this story is from Charlie, and Charlie works at a ghost tour company that I briefly worked for. And he sent in this story. I'm a general manager at the Gettysburg location, and we have something that happens in our store almost on a nightly basis. Now, I'm a seasoned 36-year investigator, so I have a ton of stories, but I thought I would share some of the things we've had happen at the store since we're right in the middle of one of the spookiest and haunted areas there is. Our storefront sits between 2 historical buildings. The one to the left of us during the battle was a private residence. The family fled during the battle, and on their return, they found out that their home had been used not only for a hospital, but also a morgue. With the lady of the house stating in her journal that the bodies compiled chest high in their cellar. That's
disgusting.
Awful. Could you imagine leaving your house and then coming home to find out it held that many dead bodies?
Gross.
I'd have to burn it to the ground. For this day, there are still bullet holes in the front of this place, and now it is an inn that you can rent rooms.
I know this place.
Which place is it?
I don't know the name of it, but I've seen it.
I know when I went to Gettysburg many, many years ago, we stayed at the Jenny Wade house.
Oh, that must have been nice.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
The only thing weird that happened is the my necklaces. When I took them off at night, I don't like reclip them. I just take them off and like leave them sitting. And in the morning, 2 nights that we were there, both mornings we woke up and my necklaces were clipped.
Interesting.
Yeah. And they said they had like a playful spirit that like plays like pranks or stuff. So that could have been it. I don't know. Or maybe in just my sleepy days at the end of the day, I did accidentally clip them.
Yeah, it's possible.
The other side of us is the building that President Lincoln stayed in the night before he gave the Gettysburg Address. And it is said that he practiced and tweaked the address there. With that being said, I was speaking to the owner next door one night around 10 p.m. We were standing outside of the front of the store. We are also located on a roundabout that they call the square. As we are standing there...
Wait a minute. It's a roundabout and they call it the square? No, I do not like.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that's kind of funny. As we are standing there, we see a gentleman walking down the street towards the roundabout. He is dressed in full Confederate uniform, and the gentleman I was talking to was a reenactor, and he was impressed with the authenticity of how close this gentleman was dressed. We started realizing that the gentleman was not walking on the sidewalk, and we found that to be very weird because he was just walking up against the curb on the street. We both thought that most likely he had a good night of consuming some alcohol and maybe was having some kind of situation, LOL. We continued conversating and still looking at the gentleman, but not putting a whole lot of attention his way until we noticed that he did not stop at the end of the street and continued to walk right into the roundabout that's usually pretty busy. But being later, there were no vehicles coming. That is when we noticed that he was almost marching. And he was looking dead ahead, and nothing was taking him from that stare. The gentleman that I was with shouted to him and asked if he needed any help or if he was looking for something. And there was no response, just continuous moving and staring straight ahead. So we chuckled once again and wasn't putting a whole lot of effort into paying attention when we noticed that he stepped into the center of the roundabout, which has a flagpole and flowers that I would say the shrubbery is probably about 3 feet high and in the middle. We both glanced up at the same time because we saw headlights and the gentleman was gone. Both of us knew that it was impossible for him to have gone that quick through the middle of the roundabout and make it to one of the other streets where we would have not been able to see him. So our first thoughts were that he had fell while crossing. So we make our way over to the same area and found no one. We were in shock for a few minutes and realized that the possibility of catching this gentleman on a security camera our neighbors had was highly likely. So we make our way over to the place, we rewound the footage, and you see us both looking in that direction. Then you see the gentleman I was with point that way and make a gesture of like what the gentleman was wearing around his midriff. And I remember the conversation at that point was him talking about how the gentleman had a blanket wrapped around his neck and waist perfectly. And my friend said he had tried to do that many times while reenacting and it always fell off. And he was impressed with it. But at no point in the time do we see anyone that we were looking at. And the camera itself did video from one side of the street to the other. So there's no possibility that the person we saw or spirit could have been out of frame. So with the time to think about it, we both came to an agreement that we believed this gentleman was coming into the town, as many of the brigades did, and we had seen him in the possibility of taking his last march. Also, we have a little side room in our store that we have some supposed haunted objects. One of them is a piano that was stored in one of the cellars of one of the homes that was used as a Civil War hospital. The owners came by and told us that they were wanting to get it out of their home because they had moved it upstairs to be used when there was no one present, and the sound of someone striking a key happened a few times a week. But then it got to a point where it was once a day. So we told them that we'd be happy to stick it in our little collection, and if they ever wanted it back, all they'd have to do is let us know. But it is an early 1900s canon. Also, the other objects we have in this room is a pump organ that was playing on its own a few keys at a time. We also had a few other things that we possibly think could be what's causing the piano that is now there to play a note or two every night. I myself have been in the office after closing to hear two keys, one behind the other, being played or pushed. And I would investigate as quickly as possible to make sure that no one was in the building, and I would not see anybody. I've also had someone look at it that does work on pianos and tunes them, and he said he could not find anything that would cause it to just randomly have a key sound off. It does not do it on command, but we do hear different keys each night. With one incident this past weekend where I had customers in the store and we were talking about the activity that they have witnessed while they have been in the town, when very loudly we heard the keys sounding off, in which myself and one of the customers walked directly to this room and found no one else anywhere in the store. I wanted to share this story. Good luck with everything. And I'm always open to share other stories that have happened over the 36 years of investigating if ever needed.
Thank you for sharing that story with us.
Yes, I love haunted objects.
We do love a good haunted object.
We do love good haunted objects. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for writing in.
Yeah. Okay, Kelly.
My turn.
Your turn.
All right, I have a story from Birdie.
Birdie!
Yay!
Thank you, Birdie.
Okay. I've always been the creepy kid. My poor mother. Here are some examples. Names have been changed because anonymity.
Anonymity.
Anonymity. Because anonymity. Because anonymity. I can't say it.
We're really tired, guys.
You say it. Because
anonymity. I don't think I said it right
I don't
either.
think we're moving on.
We're skipping it.
For some reason, I've always been able to tell within a few days when someone from my father's side of the family has passed away. My first memory of this happening was when my father himself passed away. I'm sorry you lost your dad, Birdie.
I am sorry too.
When I was 8, my father sent us to stay with my maternal grandparents. Side note, he thought my mother's family had cursed him, and after going to witch doctors what seemed like once a week for over 2 years, figured the best option for feeling better was to give their grandbabies back. Spoiler, he didn't. The time frames are really fuzzy for me. It was over 20 years ago. Lord and lady, do I feel old. I know, I'm really not. Yeah, like Birdie, I'm like 50, not like 50, I am 50.
Yeah, she's old.
Very old. Anyway, one of my grandparents' friends was talking to me about being back after so long, and the conversation turned to my father. I forgot exactly what she asked, but I looked at her and said, "He's dead now." She looked shocked, and the mood of the conversation changed significantly. It became awkward and tense, and she soon sent me off to go play. Later, when my grandfather came home, his friend told him what I had said. He pulled me aside and asked to talk. He asked me how I knew about my father. I told him something along the lines of I just knew it or I felt it. I don't really remember. Anyway, he told me that they just received news that my father had passed away and were wondering how to break the news to me and my sister.
That's tough.
He asked if I told my sister, and I told him no, to which he asked me to let him and my grandmother tell her. Honestly, I was too busy holding my insides together long enough to find a corner to cry in.
Aww.
I knew he was dead, but to have it confirmed kind of broke me. Of course it did.
Of course.
My husband lost his sister. I think he was 7 or 8 years old, and he knew that she had passed away before they had gotten word. He was spending the night at his aunt's house
Oh,
with his
wow.
cousin. And he woke up in the middle of the night crying. And his aunt came in and asked, like, what's wrong? Are you okay? And he said, something happened to Julie. And they said,
Oh.
no, it was just a nightmare. And he goes, no, Julie came and said goodbye. And then the phone rang. And Nick's aunt answered the phone, and it was Nick's mother telling her that Julie had died in an accident.
Oh my goodness. And so he actually remembers like her coming to say goodbye. He doesn't just remember people telling him that this happened.
Nobody tells him that this happened.
No, I mean, okay.
He remembers this experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
The next time this happened was with his father. This one I remember quite clearly. One day when I was about 15, my mom was taking my friend, my siblings, and I to Gainesville, Florida for the day to do some shopping for the household. We lived about 45 minutes away in the armpit of Florida.
The armpit of Florida. I love that.
In a one stoplight town, and this was a treat. While we were at the stoplight, her phone rang. She told me to answer it, so I did, and as soon as I hit the talk button, I heard Bert in my head and was hit with a feeling of deep sorrow. That was my grandfather's name, and I rarely saw him. Couldn't even say I really knew him, but he was my blood, and I knew he was gone. I put the phone to my ear, tears already welling up, and answered. It was one of my mom's friends from Jamaica, and she asked me to pass the phone to my mother, so I did. The whole time I stayed quiet, listening, silently crying because I already knew what she was going to hear. I remember that feeling from when my father passed away. After she hangs up, she pulls into the parking lot and turns to me. I had tears streaming down my face, and she asked what was wrong, and I told her I knew that Grandpa died. Oh, there's a third time.
Wow.
Bertie, you're really in touch here.
You are.
The third time, it was around the time I was about 25, 26. And I was sitting on my bed watching TV with my minions. And all of a sudden, I heard Lorna in my head, accompanied by that same feeling of just sorrow and dread. This time, I didn't cry. I hated that woman for all she had put me and my little sister through. I haven't been in contact with that side of my family since my father sent me back to my grandparents. Even with the advancements of social media, I never reached out as I had no desire. I knew what this meant, so I called my mother, who still had friends living on the island, who would know or want to know about her. When she picked up, I told her to check on Lorna. When she asked why, I told her I just had a feeling she was gone, and we hung up. The next day, my mother called me back to let me know that she had passed 3 days prior.
Wow.
Since then, it has happened once more with his sister. This doesn't happen with most people in my family. It's never happened to anyone on my mother's side. I don't know why it's some members of his family, as I'm sure others have passed in the time that has passed in between, but I wouldn't know about them. I feel like this is vague and dark, but y'all needed stories, so I always deliver. And we appreciate that, Bertie. That was wild.
Yes, it was. The fact that it's so strange that it only happens for the one side of the family.
It is. It really is.
It's like there's some type of different connection there.
But I wonder, because she said that she felt like her dad felt like they had put a curse on him. And sometimes curses can run through bloodlines.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if it's just not, maybe not the curse, but just a connection that runs through that bloodline.
That's possible.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, thank you, Bertie. I love your stories. Please send us more.
Please.
Okay, my next story is the other me wasn't ready to die, but I was. Trigger warning, car death. Hello, my name is Mila, she, her. How are you guys? We're good, except tired. We're tired, but we're good. Today, I don't have a ghost story, but a parallel universe story. And ... soul swapping.
Ooh,
Yes.
This sounds... I am excited.
Me too. Let's get into it. On a random Wednesday, I went to sleep and woke up normally. I continued my day as I usually do, since there was no need to question what I was experiencing. I'm getting out of breath just by reading. I got in my car and drove to my friend's house. The roads were the same, although I did notice some different details. Her house was more modern and the roads had more plants and gardens, but again, maybe I just never noticed the details. Gaslighting myself hard here. Everything was normal. Time passes at normal speed. Unlike in dreams, I felt like the minutes were 60 seconds long and the hours were 60 minutes long. Soon, it was time for me to return home. I got in my car and drove down the same road, passing through an old wooden bridge that crosses over a river. Out of nowhere, the bridge collapses and my car falls into the river. The current is strong and my car is swept into the depths of the river. What?
That's crazy.
Meanwhile, I watch the water surround my car and drag it to the bottom. So you watching it from above? This is an out-of-body experience at this point? It's kind of what it sounds like.
Because it's like a dream, but not a dream.
But not a dream. Everything was dark. I could feel the impact of my car when it hit the bottom of the river, and I would hear the sound of the water current pushing my car further and further. I look around. I must escape. I try to calm down and not be stupid and get stuck in a water-filled car. I unbuckle my seatbelt and I try to open my back door, but the pressure of the water current was too strong. The window, I think. I reach to open the window as I prepare for the hit when the water comes, but I hear my car shutting down. Windows lock, doors lock. The safety tech, That's when I miss the old window crank. Do people even still know what that is? Window crank?
I remember my cousin's daughters asked her why we say roll down the windows.
Yeah, younger people wouldn't understand that. I feel myself panic as the water pushes my car even further until it hits a dead tree trunk. I think that's what it was. That's what it looked like anyway. I continue to look around. I tried to break the window. I tried to crawl out of the trunk, but nothing. My car had locked me in and the water made sure I couldn't leave. That's when it hit me. I'm going to die here. My car became my tomb. I crawl back into the driver's seat and I get my phone. No signal, no internet, no one to call for help. The air thickens. I control my breath. Maybe I can have a few more hours and someone will notice I'm missing, right? Sure, but who would think to look in the river?
That's a good point.
It's a very good point. How fast would they get to that conclusion? Someone must have called the authorities because the bridge collapsed, right? But again, how will they know I'm here and that I need help? Before my mind goes into spiral, I stop myself. I make peace with the situation. I spent the last 30 minutes praying to ease my heart and controlling my breath. I look out of my car's window through the murky water, contemplating the river that would take my life. And I made peace with my death a long time ago. That's terrifying.
Very much so.
I grew up in an American high school, and since my freshman year, my school has been the target of multiple shooting attempts. I don't know why, but I digress. The code red, I know why, because we live in America.
Yeah, seriously.
That's why.
Yeah.
The code red, as my school called it, meant that there was a person with a gun who was actively trying to enter the school building or was on the school perimeter, and such codes happened at least 10 times in a school year. That is absurd.
That is absurd.
Believe it or not, after 4 years of drills and shooting threats, you can get pretty messed up. Oh, I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. As a teacher, I had one actual, someone was in around the area with a gun. And thank God it was the week during 2021 when teachers were returning to school. So I was still teaching remotely because we had a week to come back and prep our classrooms. And there were no students in the building. But I had to basically shut down my classroom online and then hide under my desk for an hour, and no one told us what was going on. We were just told, this is not a drill. And that was it.
Crazy.
And then we got yelled at because we were texting each other back and forth, like the other teachers in the building. And apparently you're not supposed to do that because someone could intercept your text and know where you're hiding.
How?
I don't know, but our principal was really
Was the
insensitive.
CIA coming in?
The principal was really insensitive to the fact that we were all scared shitless because all we heard was our phrase was tigers in the den because our mascot was a tiger. And initially we all assumed it was a drill because that was just what we did. And then right after they said tigers in the den, this is not a drill. So yeah, it was pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I remember that each time we had a code red, we would hide in our classroom, underneath the table, in the closets, etc., and wait. The school's silence during the code reds was deafening and unsettling. Everyone was just waiting for the first shot. I remember hiding underneath the desk as I held my hand over my friend's mouth because she wouldn't stop crying. Ever since my high school experience, I was diagnosed with PTSD. I totally get that.
Yeah.
And I don't react well to shooting-like sounds or loud sounds in general, fireworks, for example. I start to cry automatically. However, my high school experience also made me accept death. Whether by natural causes or by accident, I'm simply ready to die. I'm not suicidal. I don't have any elaborate plans to prepare for my death. That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Glad you put that in there.
Yeah, because we would have been worried.
I was a little worried. My mind is just in a constant state of peace and acceptance that my death will come without warning. P.S. I do have psychological treatment support, but it's just something that my pretty brain learned in order to survive. I get that. Returning to the moment that I was dying in my car at the bottom of the river. The air began to feel denser and my lungs began to fight for air. The oxygen is running low, I thought to myself. I got comfortable in my driver's seat and closed my eyes.
You said you were getting out of breath reading this.
I did.
Jen said to me, I'm having a hard time
breathing and
like
catching my breath. When I first started reading this email, I just felt like I couldn't, I had to take a lot of breaths. And I still do.
That's weird.
That is weird. And I have not read this yet.
No, we don't read these before we read them on the podcast.
I'll get the title and I'll say, this one sounds cool, and I'll move it into my inbox. But I have not read this.
Crazy.
That's weird. I got comfortable in my driver's seat and I closed my eyes. I could feel my lungs collapsing and my brain started to give up. That's terrifying. I remember the last thing I thought was the only regrettable thing is that my parents won't find my body and have closure. And I wish I could at least provide them peace. Afterwards, my lungs hurt and my vision darkened. I died peacefully. I didn't cry. I just accepted and let go. Suddenly, I wake up, gasping for air. My lungs hurt too much. I was back in my room, my actual room. I was looking around and I saw that it was the same date as the day I believed had already started when I died, but it was morning again. I started crying, confused. I was so confused that I thought I was still dead and I was reliving the same day as a loop. I called my mom and she's even more confused. I spent the rest of the day with her, hoping that her presence would ground my mind as she reassured me I wasn't dead. I just hoped that I would wake up the next day and it would indeed be the next day, not a weird loop. I woke up the next day. I was relieved and finally believed that I was indeed alive. I know it sounds crazy, but I felt my body dying. It felt real. It doesn't sound crazy. That is, I can't. I can't even imagine.
That it sounds terrifying.
I decided to meditate and find my center again. Suddenly it hits me. Different realities. What if, just what if, it was a different reality, but the Mila from that reality wasn't ready to die? What if she was healthy and would panic because she was going to die? What if she needed me to go through her death so she could die peacefully instead of afraid? I felt such a wave of emotions. I felt sad and comforted that was the case and helped myself move on. I helped her find a peaceful ending. I'm still not really sure what happened. Maybe it was a crazy dream. Maybe the universe, God, whatever you believe in, took pity on the other Mila and swapped our souls so she could move on peacefully. Regardless of what it was, I'm sure happy to be alive. Thank you for reading, Mila. Holy shit, Mila.
That's intense.
I was not ready for that.
No, not at all. I'm speechless. I'm never speechless.
We're never speechless.
No.
We have a podcast. We aren't speechless. Wow.
We are speechy kind of people.
And the fact that I felt like I couldn't breathe while I was talking, that's weird.
Yeah.
Like, I just thought initially, like, maybe I'm just so tired that I'm like struggling. And we'll leave it in the episode now, but like initially when I said it to Kelly, it wasn't meant to be in the episode. It was just like, I feel weird, like I can't breathe. And I was gonna like cut it out.
It didn't hit me until you were reading the part where her lungs felt like tight, like
That's
heavy.
weird.
Yeah. And I was like, uh-oh.
Okay.
All right, well, my next story is from Mila as well.
Oh, okay. Well,
and I am excited.
Let's see if you can top it, Mila, because I don't know if you can.
Okay. It says, hi, my name is Mila. I have been able to see spirits and entities since I was a kid, and that never really went away. I usually help them move on, forgive, and forget unfinished business. It's interesting to me, the two stories tying into each other, that she is helping spirits move on, just like she helped
like her other
reality. Yeah, that's very interesting. However, some spirits are not ready to go and they want to stay a little longer. Depending on the spirit and the reason they want to linger around, I let them stay with me as guests. I'm not joking.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're not joking.
I only have a couple of house rules. 1, do not mess with the cat. That's a good one.
That's a good one, yeah.
2, St. Michael protects this house, so if he says you have to go, you have to go. That's another good rule.
Yeah.
3, do not mess with my energy. And 4, say goodbye before leaving.
Okay.
5, do not wake me up unless it's to say goodbye. Simple enough, right?
She gets it. She doesn't want to be disturbed when she's asleep. I'm same, Mila, same.
These are great rules.
I do love these rules.
So I wanted to share some of their stories since I'm the last one that remembers them. That's so sweet. I like that sentiment. Ooh, focus eyes. Let's see if there's something about eyeballs in here because now my eyes aren't focusing. Sometimes I would have a spirited guest for months, like my friend Rebecca. She was a beautiful bride. She did not remember how she died, but she was looking for her fiancé. She wore the wedding dress, very corpse bride vibes.
Wow.
Ooh. She was the sweetest and never allowed male spirits to get near me. Go, Rebecca. One day I was crying as I watched a sad movie. Rebecca comes up quickly and enters my room, looking upset. I realized it was because I was upset. I told her not to worry, and I invited her to watch the movie with me. She did not like Nicholas Sparks. Okay. Rebecca would leave for a couple of days and then return. I assumed she was looking for her fiancé, but never really pried.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah. One day I was doing a tarot reading to check on the house energy, and she popped up. She said thank you, and she was ready to move on. I feel happy when they are ready to let go, so I help her, and we say our goodbyes. I love this so much.
I love this.
Yeah.
I want this power. I mean, I'm sure there's times that it's probably exhausting, but I don't know. It feels really special.
Okay. I'm feeling weird. I'm feeling drained.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know. Like I was already tired, but I feel like the energy just I feel heavy, like everything just
Yeah.
All right.
Let's keep going.
When I moved to my current apartment, I felt an eerie energy, but it felt harmless, so I never really investigated. If anything, I introduced myself and made sure they knew that I did not want any trouble. But this was my house, and we could talk if they wanted to. One night, I heard noises from my closet. I am used to spirits, but sometimes I have to say, fuck no.
Good. Set those boundaries.
Right. So I tried going back to sleep until I heard a small, childlike voice say, I'm sorry.
No.
I check my ward. It's clear. So this is either a very powerful entity that was able to enter my home without activating my wards. I don't know what a ward is.
Probably some type of like protection.
Okay. Or it truly is a child spirit. I collected my thoughts and looked at my clock. 4 something a.m. I sit up and I look around. I see a glimpse of a little boy running into my closet. I stood up and turned my lights on. I open my closet praying it's not a negative entity. And I'm not walking into a trap. That's smart because sometimes they say evil spirits will present as children.
Yeah, which is why kid ghosts are terrifying.
Yes. I opened the door and I saw a 7-year-old boy hiding in the corner. His energy feels scared and worried. I sit down and I close my eyes. My aunt says sometimes spirits don't like to be seen. I guess it's a way I can give them control over our interaction. Also, child spirits are rare. In my 24 years of life, I've only encountered 2. And if they are stuck, it's never for a good reason. I start speaking and introducing myself. Hi, I'm Mila. You don't have to be afraid. No one will hurt you, but you do need to talk to me. What's your name? The little boy felt like he moved behind me and whispered, Tom. I nodded and repeated, Your name is Tommy? Still with my eyes closed, I heard a thump. No, my name is Tom.
It's very specific.
I smiled and nodded. Can I open my eyes, Tom? And I felt his energy saying yes. I opened my eyes and I was able to get a better look at him. He had frostbite on his fingers and nose. His clothes were from the 1920s and not winter ready. He had worn down jumpers, a white dirty shirt, and a gray bonnet. I had to take a few deep breaths to not cry.
Aww.
Hey, Tom, do you know why you are here? Tom shakes his head. My heart was aching for him. Tom, I believe we go to a much better place than this one. I have a friend who can take you there. Would you like that? Tom looks unsure and says, If this place is so good, why are you not there? I looked at him and replied, I've been there once. I will tell this story in another email.
Please send it to us.
But I can't go there yet. It's not my time. And he seemed to understand. We sat there talking for a while. He was such a wonderful kid, and my heart ached for him. When he was ready to move on, I did my thing and invited the Archangel of Death to guide Tom to the next place. After they left, I cried the entire night.
Aww.
I still think about him now and then.
That has to be so draining, but that's amazing what you're doing.
When I was younger, around 15 years old, my room was being redone for some random reason, and I had to sleep in the guest room. Let me tell you, I hated that guest room. I didn't know then, but I know now there was a big portal there, and every type of entity would come crawling from there. Whenever I had to sleep, I would wear my protection jewelry and ask my dog, rest in peace, Kelly, great name, to stay in the room with me. One day I woke up to a girl who was very Goldilocks 18th century spirit staring at me. I wasn't as cool and prepared when I was 15, so of course I screamed. She was startled. We were both looking at each other in a non-blinking contest. I lost. Who are you? She answers that she doesn't know. I told her to leave, and she said, no. I did what I should not have done, but alas, I was only 15. There are 2 beds here. You stay there, and I stay here. I not only let an unknown spirit stay in my home, but I also gave her a bed. Hashtag haunted sleepover. Thankfully, she didn't do anything too bad. I did feel her draining my energy. What did I say?
Yeah.
What have I...
You said that you just felt really drained while reading this.
Mila, I don't know what kind of spookiness you're bringing to this podcast, but we like it.
We like it. Keep it up. Because if you write us another one and we get another type of reaction based on whatever was going on in that story...
That's nuts.
Yeah. Keep them coming.
Jen was out of breath, and she's fine now.
Yeah, completely fine.
And I'm zapped of energy. That's craziness. But I didn't know how to deal with that back then. After some months, I moved back into my actual room, and I called my aunt to ask How the fuck do I seal the guest room so the spirits couldn't roam around my house? Nowadays, I would just lock the portal. I sealed the room and the spirits could not move past the door. Sometimes I would open the guest room to see who was there. Later, I found out the land my building was built on was old farmland in colonial times, meaning it had a history of death and anguish with the native people and slavery.
Wow.
I still have some more, but I think this is a long email, so I will stop here. As always, thank you for reading my email, and I hope you have a wonderful day. With love, Mila. Mila, we want more stories.
All of them, because the fact that we both got reactions to your stories. And again, I just want to say this again. We do not read these ahead of time.
We do not.
Like at most we read the subject line and maybe like the first sentence. And that's it. And then we put them in our inbox we have little folders that say claimed Jen, claimed Kelly.
And then after we read them, they are moved out of that inbox.
Yeah, into the already read. So we have not read these stories and we both had some type of reaction while reading your stories. That's weird.
That is weird.
But I'm here for it. So please send more.
Please.
Yeah. Okay. Our next one is from Birdie again.
Alrighty, I'm excited.
We love Birdie stories. Now, are you ready for this one?
I don't know the way you're looking at me.
Hellhound prequel.
Oh, yes. I have been waiting for Hellhound stories.
More Hellhounds, all of them.
Yes.
Hey, ladies. Just listen to the Haunted Venues episode. Poor Jen, LOL. Did I do something with something?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. Did something happen to me in that episode?
I don't remember.
I don't either. But
we'll have to listen to it after we record this.
But thank you for thinking about me. Anyway, I realized that I never told you guys about my calling. So, in the spirit keeping community, this is a phenomenon.
Phenomena.
Do 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 do. She actually put in do 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 do.
I love you, Birdie. I love you, Birdie.
Called the calling. This is when a spirit tries to reach you. This is usually because the spirit would like to work with you for whatever reason. About a month before I bought the haunted vessel, and so if you're not sure what she's talking about, go back and listen to our first Paranormal Postcards where Birdie bought a ring that had a hellhound attached to it.
When she was drunk.
It was possibly her best drunken purchase, as she said. So after about a month before I bought the haunted vessel, a friend asked our group to help them choose a haunted item to buy from eBay. I read the bios on each vessel and gave my opinion, but then I had to jump headfirst down the rabbit hole because WTF. Same. That is exactly what we did when we bought our haunted dolls.
Exactly.
I was drawn to this listing for a hellhound spirit, but I never bought it because, are you crazy? Yes. The listing came and went, and I kept researching these haunted items and vessels. What kinds were there? What types of spirits were locked in them? I thought hellhounds were a myth. And demons? Really? Who would want a demon? My thoughts exactly. When we were looking at our haunted dolls, there were some that were like demon attached to this. Who would buy that?
Crazy people?
Right. Like when I was searching for my dolls, I was looking for friendly spirit, happy spirit.
Right. And then I got an extra doll thrown into mine that was, when I got it, said was a chaotic spirit.
Yeah. Hi,
and
Ellen.
That is Ellen.
And she's here. If you listen to the other episodes where we're together, Kelly brought Ellen with her.
I did.
And we've had a couple little things, but nothing too crazy
Nothing
yet.
Too crazy, but there have been some things that are...
My blinds opening is still the weirdest one to me.
If you never open them, and they were most certainly open.
They were open. Yeah, weird. But we are going to do some communication tonight. We're going to try to talk to Ellen.
We are.
Some of the spirit box and REM pod and all that. So
maybe we'll film it for a Patreon.
Yeah, that's a good
exclusive.
Idea. We could film it, put it on Patreon. So if you want to hear it,
join our Patreon.
Patreon. Okay, sorry. Back to Birdie. ADHD side tangent. Side note, I saw a listing for a Windy Boy I'm going to say the real word for those who don't know it. So if you don't want to hear it, please skip forward about 5 seconds. A Wendigo, but saying the name out loud is to tempt it, and I'm good. Well, I just tempted it. I thought people called it a windy boy because people didn't like to hear the word. I didn't realize that it tempted it. Maybe I should have read that first.
We don't read the emails before we read them on air.
Read them. And a flesh pedestrian. For those who don't know it, I'm going to say the word real quick. So skip forward. Skinwalker. People actually bid on them big time. No. I don't know a lot about windy boys. I haven't researched that yet, so that's going to be a future episode. We've researched flesh pedestrians, and I do not want them attached to any vessel that is in my possession.
Agreed.
No. Anyway, I kept coming back to hellhounds. I kind of want a hellhound. And about a week before my drunken purchase, I woke up around 2:43 a.m. for almost nightly Hawaiian roll snack. I love Hawaiian rolls. As I was coming up the stairs, I looked up and saw my dog, Angel, staring down at me, except she looked off. She had a white patch on her chest. I didn't see that, but then again, it was dark. No lights except the moon outside. Her eyes also glowed a bit, but could have been the moonlight reflecting. Anyway, I reached down to pet her. Problem. My hand went straight through her. What? I stopped cuz WTF. And I looked down. No dog. No clickety-clack of dog walking away. Just nothing. At this point, I was not okay with the spooky spooks, so I took my not-so-happy shooketh bum to bed, where Angel was. That's right, bed, where I should have been. Anyway, have a good night. Sleep tight.
I love that.
Wow. So you were thinking about getting the hellhound, and then you saw a dog. It was speaking to you.
It was.
It was saying you need to purchase this item.
That hellhound is your good boy.
He is your good boy. I kind of want a hellhound.
I would be interested, but I would want to talk to Birdie first
Yes.
to see how I can assure that the safety of the house.
Send us some more information about your hellhound. We want more stories.
Yes, and you can send us just an email just for Jen and I on like how to have a hellhound.
Yeah.
I would like to point out that just like Jen can breathe now, I have energy back now.
Yeah. Mila, I don't know what you got going on with you, but you're sending some vibes our way.
Yeah, we like it.
We do. Keep it coming.
Big fan. Big fan.
We like anything that we can't explain, and we can't explain that.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Well, that's it for this episode.
I love it. I love these stories. These are some of my favorite episodes.
They are. And if you guys want to be featured, please send us your story because they're so much fun. And we love doing them. Again, we eventually want to do them once a month. So you can't send us too many stories. Just like Katrona said, she felt like she was spamming us.
Nope.
You're not. Because if we don't get to them right away, we'll get to them. We promise.
Just send it to notmyghostpodcast@gmail.com and write postcards in the subject line.
Yeah. And something else. Give us another good, because again, we don't read the email before we read it live. So give us a good title that lets us know what it's about.
Yeah.
Because eventually we're hoping that we'll have thousands of them and then we can start reading them even just on episodes if it's about a topic we're discussing.
Yeah, so we can sort them according to topic. That would be great.
Or even if we get we get a ton of sleep paralysis themed ones, then we can do a whole paranormal postcards on sleep paralysis. Right. So a good topic in there is good. Subject line.
Also, if you've liked what you've heard, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen.
Yeah.
It's just a couple of moments for you, and it means everything to us.
It does. Because right now, we have all 5-star ratings, at least last time I checked, on all platforms. But there aren't many of them.
Right.
So I think the most I saw was on Apple, where we have 10.
And also share this with your spooky friends.
Yeah.
Let them know. Listen to this podcast.
Yeah. And Danny does that almost every week for us.
Yes, she does.
She'll put it in her story every time we post a new episode. So just share. Spread the word. Because we just want to keep doing what we're doing.
We do.
We really do.
We're really having a blast.
And if you want more ghostly content, consider joining our Patreon. Because we just said we're probably going to put an extra episode up there. Not really an episode, because I probably won't edit it, but we're just going to throw out up a video for you guys to watch us trying to communicate with Ellen.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We're going to do it. We've just decided. We've just
did.
added something else to our plate today, and I like it.
We have. I mean, we were going to do this anyway, so now we just have to record it.
Right.
So we just have to make sure we look presentable, because right now I do not.
I do. I look human.
She does. She got completely ready this morning. I just showered, and I have not done my hair or makeup yet. So.
Well, in all fairness, we are recording a Patreon episode, which we do video on.
Yes.
For Patreon episodes, unless we have weird tech issues, which sometimes happens.
That did happen one time where we thought we recorded video, and then we went back to edit it, and there was no video. And in the entire episode, we talk about how we're on video.
Yeah.
And then it's like, no. So it does happen.
It does.
But anyway, thank you for hanging out with us today. And
as you write in these stories to us, we will keep in mind that it may not be our ghost,
but it's definitely your problem.
Definitely. Until next time, stay spooky
and stay skeptical.